Hi there. Today I will start a new video series, this time about the most important win-win-win measures. So these are unique things that we can do that have multiple benefits, so therefore a win-win-win situation. Today I will be talking about veganism. So a vegan lifestyle is basically the most important thing that we can do as an individual that has the most benefits. It is a win-win-win situation, benefit for human health, the animals and the environment. So let's start with the animals. For them, of course, avoiding animal products is a win situation because you avoid animal suffering and you avoid animal rights violations. So the animals, just like all sentient beings, they have a right to bodily autonomy. Just like your body belongs to you, no one else can use your body against your will. So the animals, they have a right to bodily autonomy, so we cannot use the bodies of the animals against their will. The animals, they feel their own bodies, and the way they are treated in the livestock factory farms is something that they do not want. So therefore, this right to bodily autonomy is violated. You can compare this basically to kind of slavery. Just like slavery uses the body of humans against their will, or rape, using the body of women against their will, using the muscle tissue of an animal, a pig or a chicken, against its will. It's a right violation. Now, less trivially are the other benefits for the environment and for human health. So let's look at the benefits for humans. First, we can look at we can make a distinction between the benefits for the consumers, the producers who produce the animal products, and the public health. Looking at the health benefits for the consumers, there is more and more scientific evidence with large prospective cohort studies, meta-analysis and things like that, and that a vegan diet is at least as healthy as an average omnivorous diet in the Western countries. I would give a rough percentage. I have some confidence that that vegans have about 10% less risk of chronic diseases and a 10% lower mortality rate. So we can basically say that 1 out of 10 causes of death will be the consumption of too many animal products, especially red and processed meat, and not enough plant-based products, especially not enough fruits, vegetables, whole foods, nuts and seeds. So the reason why we can say that is if you look at a population of thousands individuals, every year about 1% of them die. So with an omnivorous diet, 10 of those people will die. If we would do the simulation of a vegan world, then in this vegan world 9 people will die this year. So that means 1 out of 10 causes of death is due to the non-vegan diet. These causes of death, the major causes of death are the non-vegans have a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases such as high blood pressure, obesity, stroke, higher risk of several cancers, and type 2 diabetes. So these are the major 3 cardiovascular diseases, cancers, and type 2 diabetes. Then there is some small evidence, slight weaker evidence that they also have that vegans have a low risk of, for example, Alzheimer's disease, kidney diseases, and intoxication by toxic chemicals that are in the animal products. Also, vegans have a low risk of food poisonings because animal products are often contaminated with harmful bacteria. So vegans have low risk of having to go to the hospital because they have food poisoning and dangerous diarrhea or so. Next, we can look at the health impact of the producers. So the people working in the slaughterhouse and the factory farms and so on is all actually not healthy occupation. basically we can say the top 3 most dangerous professions are: first, fishermen; second, logging industry; and the third is animal agriculture. These are the most dangerous, unhealthy industries. For example, in Western Europe, Belgium, Netherlands, about 30% of the pig farmers have lung problems. About 40% of them have an antibiotic MRSA bacteria infection. Also working in slaughterhouses is very dangerous, but especially also emotionally dangerous, because a lot of people working in the slaughterhouses, they develop a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. Perpetration-induced traumatic stress. It is called by the psychologists who study this phenomenon. And that is because killing animals in a row, it's emotionally not easy to do, because you have to suppress your spontaneous empathic feelings, and that's exhaustive. Then we have also the risk of for public health. With livestock farming, there's an increasing risk of a widespread pandemic zoonotic diseases. Think about flu, SARS virus, Q fever, things like that. Air pollution from ammonia, particulate matter. But perhaps most dangerously are the antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So my rough estimate, based on the studies that I've seen, is that we can say that about 1 in 20,000 people will die every year due to the antibiotic resistance, due to the antibiotics used in factory farms. So basically due to livestock farming. 1 out of 20,000 people that die every year. So that's a very rough estimate, but it means that it is very dangerous, this antibiotic resistance, due to the use of antibiotics. There's also another public health risk of food security. So a lot of foods are wasted in livestock farming, are turned into manure that you cannot eat. So it requires more grains and soy to produce meat and milk, animal milk, than to produce plant-based alternatives such as tofu or soy milk. So plant-based proteins require less soy and grains. There's also, the studies are very clear on this. If you look at the total agricultural area, the cropland area, the highly productive cropland area that is occupied today, will be enough to feed the whole world population in the future, 9 billion people, probably, with a vegan diet. And the other agricultural area, the grazing land that is only used for livestock now, actually we do not need that in a vegan diet, of course. We do not use grazing animals. We do not drink milk and so on. So this grazing land can be turned into natural reserves, for example. So the current land occupation, agricultural croplands, will most likely be enough to feed the whole world in a vegan diet, and much more nature will be saved. Finally, there are also economic benefits. In the studies that I've seen, world income in the vegan diet scenario will be, so the world's global GDP will be from 1% to about 10% higher compared to a reference scenario, the omnivorous, worldwide omnivorous diet. So that is because livestock farming has a high impact due to health costs and environmental costs, climate change. I will come to that in a moment. If you avoid those health costs and climate change costs, then world GDP can increase. Another way to look at it, if you switch to a plant-based diet, and especially if you eat fruits and vegetables, more fruits and vegetables, if you change some expensive animal products, meat and cheese, to fruits and vegetables, you can save a lot of money. So with a well-planned, healthy vegan diet, you can save about 300 euros per year compared to an average omnivorous diet, because you eat more fruits and vegetables that are cheap. So with this 300 euros, you can do a lot of good if you donate those 300 euros per year to the most effective charities. You can do a lot of good. So that's about human health and then human prosperity. Now let's look at the environment, biodiversity. Well, the United Nations are pretty clear on this. They say that most likely the livestock farming is the #1 cause of global biodiversity loss. So now we are in the 6th major period of mass extinction in the history of life on Earth. The previous one was the extinction of the dinosaurs due to an asteroid impact. And now we can say that livestock farming is most likely the #1 cause of this biodiversity loss. And so we can say that metaphorically, livestock farming is equivalent to an asteroid impact when it comes to environmental impact. If you look at the environmental impact, if you reduce the consumption of animal products, switch to a vegan diet, you have a win-win-win-win-win situation again. You decrease greenhouse gas emissions, you decrease deforestation, you decrease what is called eutrophication, so pollution of too much animal manure in the river streams and the seas. You decrease pollution by pesticides, you decrease pollution by veterinary medicines that are used in livestock farming. You decrease water depletion, you decrease soil erosion, particulate matter emissions, salination through irrigation, acidification, energy consumption, overfishing, of course, and fragmentation of natural habitats due to, for example, fences around the fields. So that's a multiple win for the environment if you decrease your consumption of animal products. The top 3 here again is less global warming, less deforestation, and less eutrophication. Eutrophication basically is a disturbance of the nitrogen and phosphorus flows in the environment. So what happens is if you so the animals, they eat a lot of food. They turn this food mostly into manure. This manure is composed of phosphor and nitrogen. There's a runoff of this manure to the rivers. In the rivers, it creates algae blooms. When these algae die, then bacteria they prey on the dying algae, and they use a lot of oxygen, and the oxygen level decreases, and then the fish in the waters do not have enough oxygen, and so they basically suffocate, and there are a lot of fish dying. So that's why you have a lot of coastal dead zones, about 400 coastal dead zones at the coasts in Western Europe, the Gulf of Mexico, and then East Asia, where on land there's a lot of intensive animal farming. So in the US, the Mississippi, for example, in Northwestern Europe and in Asia, you see a lot of cattle, pigs, chickens, intensive farming. With global warming, we can say that about 15% of the global greenhouse gas emissions are due to livestock farming. And we know that the plant-based alternatives, they have a much lower carbon footprint compared to the animal products. Same for deforestation, so you can decrease your deforestation with factor 5 if you switch to if you switch to vegan products. All in all, I would say that the total environmental impact of a consumer in the Western countries will decrease by about 15% if that person switches to a vegan diet. So 15% is comparable to the 10 or 15% lower health risks, lower health costs. 15% is of course not enough to save nature. Everyone has to do a lot, and the governments can do a lot, the industry can do a lot, transport sector, energy producing sector has a high impact. But we can say the two basic problems of environmental problems is we consume too much fossil fuels and too much animal products. Now, if we put all these statistics together, what we can say is switching to a vegan diet is the most important thing that you can do for the environment as an individual. It's more important than driving a bike instead of a car, switching to renewable electricity, green electricity, isolating your house, or avoiding food waste, avoiding airplane travel. So what you can do as an individual, the number one thing you can do is a vegan diet. To put it all in perspective, let's say you enjoy for 5 minutes you eat 100 gram of red meat. So this 100 gram consumption, it means you enjoy 5 minutes. Now, if you instead you eat this 100 gram of red meat instead of a plant protein source, what happens is, on average, a rough estimate, of course, is that this 5 minutes enjoyment results in a loss of 30 minutes of your personal health, 30 healthy minutes. So your life will be shortened with 30 minutes per steak you eat. That's for your own health. It's an average, because you have a high risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancers, chronic diseases. On average, we can say that vegans have a 3-year longer lifespan, life expectancy, than omnivores. So that means 30 minutes per steak. If you look at the health impacts due to climate change, due to livestock farming, due to this the production of the red meat, the pigs and the cows, you can say that the impact of this consumption of 100 gram of red meat results in 2 minutes of health of others in the future due to climate change. So another person in the future will lose 2 healthy minutes. And then, of course, if you look at the animals, this 100 gram of red meat is accompanied with 5 hours of animal suffering. Things that you would not like to experience, or you would not prefer that your dog experiences the things that the pigs, for example, experience in the farms. 5 hours of suffering for your 5 minutes of enjoyment. Now, you can also look at 100 grams of chicken meat or 100 grams of eggs. Consumption of 2 eggs. So you eat them in, again, about 5 minutes. If you eat those chicken meat instead of vegetables, vegetables are healthier than chicken meat. We do not eat enough vegetables. So suppose you eat 100 grams of chicken meat instead of vegetables. What happens? You lose again 30 minutes of health, personal health. The environmental impact, climate change, will result in 2 minutes of health of others in the future. And the animals, the chickens, they will suffer for 2 days. So they will suffer 10 times more than with the red meat. So the consumption of 100 grams of eggs or 100 grams of chicken meat is 10 times worse suffering compared to the consumption of pig meat, red meat. And also 10 times more animals die for the same portion. So this puts all in perspective. That means that for the animals, chicken meat and eggs are the worst things to consume, and fish. For the environment, cow meat and dairy products are the worst things to consume. For your personal health, red meat, so pig meat and cow meat, are the worst things to consume. If you decrease them all and replace them, if you replace red meat with plant proteins sources, and if you replace chicken meat and eggs with vegetables, you arrive at a healthy, well-based, well-planned diet with enough vegetables, and you live longer. The animals, you avoid animal suffering, and it's better for the environment. So that summarizes the multiple benefits for the vegan diet. In the next 2 videos, I will talk about other win-win-win measures that we can take. So it's a green tax shift and family planning to avoid unwanted pregnancies. See you next time.